Good morning, my friends. I'm going to tell you a little history of the Abe Project today. Many of my followers follow me strictly because of Abe, because of what he offers us as companionship and as peacefulness and as a hope for some survivable future. I think at least a few of my followers even see that. Today is Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, 2019. And I count the day before Thanksgiving as the first day of my current life with and project with Abraham. Actually, I began working with him, as regular followers know, I've had him all his life. He turned 18 last July. So obviously Project Abraham goes back, to year 2001 in that sense. And I own both his parents. He was born on my farm. Working with him, trying to heal his injured feet. We originally left him out in the pasture. That's what's called a pasture pet, in a life that many people think would be the ideal. He never had to work. He never had to obey anybody. All he had to do, hello Bandit, you're a good dog. You're large and goofable. Yes, you are. All he had to do was eat whatever he wanted and go wherever he wanted, and it almost killed him. That's not the proper way to care for a domesticated animal. All this talk about donkeys as guard animals because you can just leave them out in the pasture with your Bandit, don't hassle. Just leave them out in the pasture with your sheep or your goats. That's really a bad plan. In the first place, donkeys are funny. Some days they'll just kill your sheep or your goats because they annoy them. But more, we domesticated these animals a long time ago. And like dogs, and like domesticated cats, they need our care. Everybody knows that if you take a domesticated cat and you just turn it loose, let it be a feral cat, it'll live a while and it'll be an ecological disaster and it'll die young and it won't have a good life. And that's the way donkeys are. They're actually better. A donkey who works for you almost always will have better health than a donkey who's left alone in the pasture. Because you observe him every day. He's got a little sore in his nose right now. I'm watching it. When I pet him all over. And I'm petting him because I love him and because it's a function of affection. But I also pet him because I'm inspecting him for any little injuries, any little sores. There's Smoke the cat. He's looking at Smoke. But I wanted to talk about this project in this day. When I first started training Abe, come on, buddy, come back over here. He was still loose in the pasture. He used to have, hang on a minute, let me go get something. Get out of there. Go on. Get. Come on, in or out. Should have got off the pot. Come on. Okay, come here. Come on. Come on. Old Fuff Ruffle here has made a problem. Yeah. Oh, yes. We got you. Oh, we got you. We got you. Now, come on. Come on over here. Alrighty. Oops. Put your ears ain't right. Okay. When we first had him out in the pasture, we didn't realize how badly donkeys tend to founder on rich green grass. So we injured his feet our ignorance. Founder is laminitis. It's a disease. I'm not going to go into it here except to say that it causes permanent, irreversible pathological changes to the hoof. So his feet will never be as well as if we'd have never left him loose in the pasture. They can't be fixed. We did the damage already. We live with that, and feel guilt every day. So then we figured out, well, our farrier, when we finally got one, told us we needed to keep him on dry lot and feed him hay. But we couldn't, we didn't feel like we had the time, or there was too many other things going on, and you know, it's a hassle. You have to come up here and feed him twice every day. And so we bought this thing. This is a grazing muzzle. It's got a little hole in it you can see through, and you put it on their face, and they wear it. And then when they want to eat grass, all they can eat is what they can catch through that hole. And it improved his health some when we did that. But his feet still were sore. We were working with him. And then I started, Bandit, get down, honey. Come on. Then I decided, along with everything else, that I was going to train him to pull a cart. Just for fun. This didn't start out as anything like what it's evolved into. I was just going to train him to pull a cart so that I could have a cart to ride around the country roads on, you know, and sightsee. But he was still loose in the pasture, and I'd go out and I'd get him, and I'd put a halter on him. This is just a little old thing I got just real loose. But I'd put a halter on him, and I'd lead him up here, and I'd start training him. And I'll show you most of that in simulation videos here over the course of this season. And we were making some progress. You know, he'd learned to pull things without having hissy fits, and I'd made him his harness. And this was going on, this all happened starting in probably August of last year, of 2018. And so August and September and October. So and over those 3 months, we'd made quite a bit of progress, and so I decided that I could teach him now, at that point, to pull me on a cart. So we had an old beat-up cart around here, and I hooked it up to him, and I hitched him up. Come on out here, Abe, let's go for a walk. Come on, buddy. There, good boy. Come on, let's walk over here. Come on, let's walk over here. Come on. When I pull him, it's funny. He needs a lead rope to consent to walk like this, but doesn't need any tension. He just needs the rope to be there. It establishes a limit. Okay, what we're looking at now is a gate and a fence and the barnyard. And if you walk across this barnyard, come on, Abe. Come on, buddy, we're going over here. You come out into this little paddock here. That's the property line. Come on, camera, focus. The property line is just this side of those houses. You can see the fence row and the change in the texture of the ground way on this paddock here. And Abe and I were out in this paddock on the cart. We were right up against that fence. I wanted him to come back. He didn't want to come back. He was tired of this cart business. He was in a pretty foul humor. So I had a hold of the reins, lines are what they're called, but they're what is reins functionally. And I gave the rein a little whip with my hand, swatted him on the butt with it, and he turned around and he took off at a dead run. And I will tell you, in case nobody else ever did, the donkeys are a lot faster than they look. If you see any, hang on there, Abe, stay. Whoa, wait right there. I want to see if we got this right. Hang on there, buddy. Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, there, we're good. If you ever see any videos of wild horse herds out west where the horses and the donkeys are together, you'll notice that the horses are running in their beautiful horse-like run, and their feet are flying, and their manes are flying, and their tails are flying, and they're blazing across the semi-desert. And the donkeys are running right along beside them, and they don't even look like they're working. Their little old feet are just going, and they're running right along with the horses. They're incredibly fast, and they're incredibly powerful for small animals. And so I scared him, whacked him on the butt with that line, and he took off at a dead run, and he came out of that paddock I showed you and went around the back side of the barn, came back up that side of the barn, and ran to that gateway I showed you. And that gateway is about 18 inches narrower than the cart we were on, and I'd left that gate open, and I could see where we were going. So I was out there in front of the barn where you could see when I showed you that picture of the gate, that area out there, and I saw the gate coming, I knew we were doomed. And so I jumped off the cart, and I didn't know how fast he was running. It seemed like about 100 miles an hour from where I was. And when I jumped off the cart, I went and I twisted, and I landed. At that time, I weighed about 222. So all 222 pounds of me, plus all the speed he had put in this, and landed right on the point of this shoulder. And rolled and got up. He went through the gateway, knocked down that T-post that holds up the gate. He was in here in the barnyard. The cart was busted all up. The axle was broken, and one of the wheels was broken. And I laid there for a few minutes because I was in so much pain I didn't know if I could do anything else. And as it turned out, I injured that shoulder badly enough that it still hurts right now, and it will hurt for the rest of my life. That's the price you pay for being stupid, and for being impatient, and for doing things whose time has not yet come. And so I accept that. But on that day I decided, I said to my wife, I was laying out there on the ground, she heard the whole wreck, and she came up to see me, and she helped me get up. And I said to her, I don't want to fail at this. And I was almost in tears. And she said, you haven't. And you won't. And so I got up, and I came in here. I unhooked it. Dave was still hooked to this smashed up cart, and his harness was still on him. This was a year ago today, Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving. Not a year by calendar date, because you know the dates change, but by memory date, the day before Thanksgiving. And so I came in here and I unhooked him from everything, and I shut up all the gates, and I said, okay, Sydney's been after us to put him on dry lot and feed him hay, and I want to train him to be a useful ally here on the farm. And so I put him up here. I couldn't use my right hand at all. I'm right-handed. It was over a week before I could put a shirt or an undershirt on without help. I couldn't wear undershirts for about 3 weeks. I could, with G's help, I could get a shirt on. This arm wouldn't lift. I could only get it out to about here, and she'd pull the shirt up over it there and then put it on my other side. I could button it with my left hand. And so, working with one hand, I built most of what you see here. That is that is actual paddocks. This panel here wasn't here. The post was. Those rubber mats on the floor weren't there. That box was here just in storage. It's now his harness room, but it was just in storage. I built all of that one-handed so that I could provide. Stay right there, buddy. We're just fixing the camera. So that I could provide the safe housing for him, a place to feed him, a place to keep him out of the weather, a place where he didn't have to stand on the concrete. This room in here was not yet usable. This old barn, as old buildings tend to on old farms, was mostly just a building full of junk, and it wasn't usable. He didn't have this room all winter last winter. He just had outdoors. I made him this room over the course of the fall so that he'd have a place to get in out of the weather. But this whole project that my Twitter followers have been reading about for the past year, on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving last year, I made a decision that my life would be better if I learned to get the things that I need done with the help of this donkey than the way I was doing them with tractors. We still have a whole flock of tractors, and I still use them some. But I use them as little as I can. I do everything I possibly can with Abe's help. He has learned, even though he started as an almost 18-year-old animal, or as an 18-year-old animal, if you go back to the year ago today. No, a year ago today he was 17. So he started this as a 17-year-old animal. They say you can't teach old dogs new tricks. This donkey had spent 15 years just completely. He was almost wild. He lived in the pasture. We could slowly approach him and catch him and pet him and put a halter on him, and we could slowly lead him. But he didn't walk like he does now. You know, I mean, this guy, he goes just because I ask him to. You know, like I said, this rope is just it's to make a point that we're doing something. It's not to force him to do something. Come on, buddy, let's go. Come on. Come on. I don't pull him. It's a communications tool. Yeah. Come on, let's put that in. Because you see, they work with you out of choice. Because they're domesticated animals. Because humans and these animals signed up together 6,000 years ago. And the deal was, we would protect their health. We would protect them from predators. We would dress their wounds. We would provide for them food. And they would give to us their strength to do things that we were not strong enough to do ourselves. That's what this is. This is a partnership, and on this partnership between man and animal, we built civilization. There's a wide belief today that somehow all these things that we invented 100 years ago make it possible for us to continue to live. When we know that we worked with these animals for 6,000 years. And as we worked with them, we built cities. We invented the printing press. We wrote great plays. We had great art. We had great scientists. We discovered the laws of motion. None of the machinery that we think keeps us alive was here through any of our major developments as humankind. And the myth that the only way we can survive is with this machinery is as pernicious as the myth that it is normal or natural or human for us to turn our backs on these animals and give our souls to these soulless machines that we absolutely know for sure are destroying this entire habitable planet. I've spent a year with this animal, and it's been the best year of my life. There's nothing you can do with a machine for which the speed of the machine gives you as much benefit as the life of these animals that we have chosen to turn our backs on. This is the best we can do. I don't mean it's tolerable. I mean, we are not on a path today which makes us happy. It makes us excited. Speed's exciting. I was excited when I thought I was going to die in this runaway. It's plenty exciting. But it's not making us happy. Children are going to high school and murdering all their friends, all their co-students. That's not a happy culture. The guns didn't cause that. We've had guns for 400 years. The madness causes it. And it's not mental health. It's the madness of our high-speed, greedy, possessive, hateful, crushing culture. And I tell you that the strength of our bodies and the strength of our friends will get everything we ever need done for us. Everything we ever need to stay alive. And that we can preserve the habitability of this planet if we apply the knowledge that we get right now today out of earth sciences, not just climate science, but all the earth sciences, and we turn back, we give up the mistake we made, and we turn back to the love of these animals. They will work for us not because we force them, not because we beat them, not because we frighten them. They will work for us because we care for them. And it's a fair trade. Abraham works real hard some days. Some days he works real light. Some days he doesn't do any work at all except I'm in a bad mood, so I come up here and I sit down with him. And the work he does is he stands here like this with his placid nature and this goodness that radiates out of his little donkey heart. And it soaks into me on my bad day and I feel better. We are addicted to speed, just like a meth addict is addicted to speed. But the speed that we are using, with which we are killing our planet, and we know that, that speed is of no more benefit to us than the meth is to the meth addict. And I want to thank my friend Abraham for the year he's given me, for all that he's taught me. And I want to thank you all for coming along on this ride with us and seeing, because I kid you not, this is human. People say to me all the time, oh, it's human to have these machines. No, it's human to have these animals. We know we did this 6,000 years ago, but we don't know how long before that. We don't know if maybe, we know dogs have been with us for a long, long, long time. We don't know when the donkey started walking with us. I'll tell you this, nobody went out in the desert and grabbed a wild African wild ass and clumped a basket full of grain on his back and said, carry this or I'll beat you, because if they did, the wild ass would have killed them right there on the spot. The first thing somebody did to domesticate the African wild ass that was Abraham's great, so many greats grandfather, was they gave him friendship. They gave him help. They gave him care. And then they said, here, my friend, since you're walking with me, let me put this on your back and carry it for me. And he did. And that's how it works. That's how it works. And that's how we're supposed to work. That's how the life of this world is supposed to work. We know it's not. People talk like science is cars. That's gadgets. It's technology. It's science is knowledge. We know absolutely for sure that the only thing which made all this life is the life before it. That on this barren rock, somehow life happened. And from those first few single-celled anaerobic creatures, because there was no oxygen. There was no free oxygen on this planet until photosynthesis started. All the life that we're destroying today was made of life. All the carbon that's in the atmosphere today would be uptaken by life if we would nurture that life. Turn our backs on these stupid machines that are driven by high speeds and high powers and fires and splitting atoms and chopping apart gases and getting... I don't care how you get your speed. I don't care what power source you use for it. All we're doing with our speed is we're killing that which has the potential to keep us alive forever. And if we don't kill it, it will. And if we do kill it, it won't. And this friend right here, he, by himself, symbolizes the entire road to salvation. We use our wisdom, our knowledge, our science. We apply it to this living, breathing earth. And we use these friends who provide for us all the strength we ever need. Out there, somewhere, there's a big old red cow. She's way stronger than Abe. If I needed something bigger pulled than he could pull, she could pull it. Horses if you have to go fast. But life, only life can create life. Only life ever made this world habitable for us, and only life will ever keep this world habitable for us. Not all the dead things that we can ever invent can make life. Abe, I want to thank you for this year. You're one of the best friends I've ever had in my whole life. You are a wonderful, wonderful person, and I love you. That's all, my friends.